Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first game in the series between Beastie Cutie and the Viper. Lidicor down on the south. Who do we have spawning down here?
Spawning in on the south, playing as the Blue Mongols, it is Beastie Cutie, champion of N4C. And on the north, in the color red, playing as the English. I know you want to introduce that guy. Who do we got up there?
Ladies and gentlemen, with his large Delhi elephant sitting in the middle of a town center, playing as the English in the color red, we have got the one, the only, the Viper. And damn, isn't his start looking great. We have got ourselves a 2-2-2 start. That's 2 on wood, 2 on gold, 2 on food. An early wheelbarrow is going to be the name of the game here. And the Viper is playing it a little bit greedy, you could say.
Possibly, but if there is any person that can get away with a crazy amount of greed, that's probably Viper. He is just known for that. He knows very well when to go greedy, when to go aggressive. The same things can be said though from Beastie. Both of these players are big masters of surviving under pressure, and their styles very similar in so many ways. As you pointed out, this could be a really close set over here. And both of these players bringing out their #1 civilizations. Viper, the best player out of the remaining 8 with English. Beastie, the best player of the remaining 8 with the Mongols.
Yeah, these two guys are the best at the civs that they've got here, and I think it really serves as an example of how comfortable they are with their civs, that they pick them up as their first civs. You know, in the last series, we saw both players bringing out the French, a very safe pick. But here, Viper says, well, I'm so confident with the English, even on a map that's as open as Dry Arabia, I'll pick it against anything. I don't care what you're throwing at me, whether it's Mongols, whether it's French, whether it's an English mirror, I'll do it all, baby, and we'll do it in style. Beastie Cutie on the other side, very comfortable with the Mongols. Get it out nice and early. It's great to see him picking up the Mongols here, because I think a lot of people have sort of been throwing up as to whether the Mongols are still S tier in the most recent patch. We've seen a number of nerfs that have hit them. They've also been buffed up as well. Obviously, they've been nerfed with the Yam speed aura, no longer lingering outside the range of those outposts. Some of the buffs that they've received are the mangonels. And now I know what you're thinking, Lidicor. You're saying, but Drongo, 7 of the 8 civs have got mangonels. How is the Mongols buffed up specifically? Well, that, my friend, is because of improved siege engineering. The mangonels have a higher propensity to go towards those... Did I say the mangonels? The Mongols? The Mongols have a higher propensity to go towards the mangonels because they have that improved siege engineering, and so just naturally they're going to gravitate towards it because it's easier for them to get.
And that's exactly it. Like, back in the days before mangonels were nerfed, that was the #1 go-to strategy with Mongols. We have seen an extensive use of men-at-arms and crossbows. But the main unit that you had was the siege that you built on the battlefield. Not just your mangonels, but also your springles. So with mangonels once again becoming a lot more effective, suddenly that Mongol improved siege engineering received a massive indirect buff. And of course, the Abbasids also received a big buff through this, because once again, their ability to make siege weapons on the battlefield right away, once again, has a much higher value than what it used to be, with the mangonels being considerably weaker.
Age up now coming through for Beastie Cutie. No surprises as we do spot the deer stones coming down. These two civilizations very commonly go for one landmark a piece. It is going to be the deer stones for the Mongols, highly likely to be the council hall for the Viper as well. It is rare that you see the Abbey of Kings come out, and it is rare that you see the Silver Tree come out, but it is possible. We do sometimes see them come out. We do see them make rare appearances.
Indeed, rare appearances. Viper going to be a little slower to feudal age over here. He went pretty heavy on the farming department. You see he dropped 6 farms, and indeed now he's going for the council hall. So the question becomes, how aggressive is Beastie going to be in this setup? Because he opened with a relatively passive game. Usually he loves to go for some level of towers aggression. He's the big ambassador of Mongol tower rushing. But obviously against the English, that's a little suicidal, so that probably made him change his game plan. On the other hand, Viper, he loves to play greedy. He loves to play very heavily focused on the eco and only unleash his army going into Castle Age. So we'll have to see if Viper is actually going to play 2 town centers over here, or maybe work towards a fast castle, fast extra second town center with the landmark. A lot of options out there for Viper. So scouting is going to be vital for Beastie over here to see what Viper is up to. And we're going to have to see how aggressive Beastie thinks about playing this one.
Yeah, already you can see quite a few villages here on the gold for the Viper. Now, normally this would point towards a fast castle, but I can't help but feel a little bit concerned. Maybe Viper's given him a little bit of misinformation here. Normally, when it comes out for these castle build orders, you do see English players just look to get out a little smattering of units. Not too crazy, just a handful of spearmen, a handful of longbows, and try and put on a bit of aggression. But Viper looking like he might even be thinking about doing it naked. Going for that classic 0 military unit fast castle. But a new age now dawns for Beastie Cutie. The feudal age has been reached. Looks like a villager going to be moving out and an outpost going to be coming down. It's going to be tower time for Beastie Cutie.
Of course it is. As I said, he's the ambassador of tower rushing. If there is a person that loves the Mongol tower rush, it is him. And Viper, as you pointed out, he's trying to go for that naked style fast castle. Go straight to castle age over here. You see, this is part of the reason why he's relatively slow to feudal age. He's not committing a ton of villagers on building that landmark. He just wants to make sure he's gathering those resources at a reasonable rate. In fact, it's, I think, only 2 villagers building the landmark. Once it's up though, he can get 1 or 2 longbows out to deal with that tower villager, given that he scouts it. And I don't think that his scouts will spot this because he's too busy burning down the Ovu. This could come as a nasty surprise that he's getting a tower in his face.
This is something that I talked about in the last series where we saw Puppy Paw take on Lucifron, and that it would be unlikely to see towers with the exception of covert towers, which is exactly what Beastie Cutie's going for here. So he's not being very overt with it. He's not telling his opponent, hey, I'm going to tower rush you, because often you will see players do that. They put down a barracks, they say, I'm bringing out the early spearmen, and I'm going to make sure that I dish out some damage to you. The villagers out, I'm going to put down an outpost, and I'm going to kill you. But not Beastie Cutie, not today. In fact, he is taking the covert route here. He's looking to keep all of those towers a little bit secret until at least he's got the first one out. The second one, it'll be a little bit closer, and I suspect he's going to continue pushing forward with those outposts as Viper just lays unaware.
And look at the forest spawn over here for Viper. All of his wood is on the left side, which means that if we can have a chain of towers out there for Beastie, suddenly it becomes very, very difficult for Viper to access any kind of wood. And generally, the English have a very wood-heavy unit composition if they want to go for the longbows. So, oh, the Khan gets taken down. That's going to be painful.
That's good game. That is good game already getting called. Beastie Cutie just going to lose the game right there. No, not really. But Viper reaching the 3rd age, or rather hitting the 3rd age. A single longbowman being a stronger unit than the Khan. But yeah, as you mentioned, Beastie Cutie now looking to link up these 2 outposts. And this is really strong because once the Springald emplacements come through, or in this case, it's just going to be arrow slits, there's going to be some serious damage.
And I love the addition of the horseman over here. Beastie's trying to deny information over here. He's pursuing those scouts with the horseman, trying to make sure that Viper isn't going to notice those towers. The best case scenario for Beastie is that he is going to be unspotted here on the north until he reaches Castle Age and he can go for the Springald emplacement straight away. Because if he gets spotted, if there is any kind of reaction for Viper, that might force Beastie to go for the arrow slits a little sooner so he gets some value over those towers, that he's going to have some protection to those. But if Beastie plays this one patiently, he could wait for Springald emplacements and it would be even more devastating than what it is with arrow slits.
He is being really patient. I love this. And this is what I was talking about when it comes to covert outposts. This is the definition of covert. He is really just taking his time with this. He's got a single villager out there just very casually building that up. But it looks like now the outpost is going to reveal itself and show his trap card. Unfortunately, that villager manages to make it out alive. And that villager count for Viper is going to continue building forward. I suspect, do we see a monastery coming out for the Viper just yet? We'll take a look at the base. It looks like a stable going to be coming down for him. So going to be heading into Knights. No monastery just yet.
Archer range early on here for Viper. You see he's adding crossbows as well. So he's expecting men-at-arms / lancers over here. Not a common sight to see an English player drop an archer range this early. But obviously Viper understands that longbows might not do much over here. And indeed, Beastie is up to Castle Age. He's going to pop out the first double Lancers. And we're going to see the first tower come up with a Springald emplacement. Viper indeed going for the Monastery here. And having those towers on the left side is also going to make it more difficult for Viper to sneak past those with a Monk and start picking up those relics on the left side of the map.
Yeah, this is very curious because I want to see how Viper plays against these outposts. We start to see Springald emplacements coming down on the southern outpost. On this central outpost, have we got arrow slits on this one, or is there a Springald emplacement on that as well? I'd love to take a look and see, just to understand a bit more, because these passages are going to be very key for Viper. He needs to try and secure these We see a sprinkled emplacement on this one. On the next outpost, we have got a, it looks like arrow slits.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess the big thing is these are important passages for the Viper, as you mentioned. There's things out there he wants to go grab. He needs to go grab relics. He needs to get wood. All of those things. And now Viper's in a difficult position. Where does he gather wood from?
Yeah, he can't go anywhere. Like, there are a couple of small forests all the way down to the south, but you don't want to move out against the Mongols like that. Knights are now moving up towards that villager, though. Oh, can we get that villager killed? Yep, that has to be that villager. I don't see it anywhere.
I don't see it anywhere either. I think that's a dead villager. And with that, the outpost push is going to slowly be stalled out. But fortunately, there is only arrow slits and no sprinkled emplacements. The sprinkled emplacements can be a lot less forgiving than those arrow slits. At least they give you a little bit of a warning. But now the Viper going to be turning his attention up towards that northern spot. We can see the Knights moving out. They're going to be taking a fair bit of damage, but Villager's going to be in the mix as well, looking to try and clear this out. And with this outpost going down, it's going to guarantee that Viper's got a safe food source, or rather, a safe wood source up towards this northern position. But now Lance is running in. Viper, very quick to react, though.
Yeah, this is why waiting with those emplacements could have helped Beastie over here, because if the tower had the Springald instead of the Archer, then it would be an even more devastating tower out there. But Beastie is still going to be able to distract Viper. He's going to pick off one Monk on the right side, so that Relic isn't going to be garrisoned just yet. Beastie is behind in villager count, but he's putting a lot of pressure on Viper, and Viper's got a ton of idle time. You see, those gold miners have been garrisoned at town center for the last 1 minute or so.
I'm not sure if you saw that, but that crossbow just killed a deer. That was all. That was all I wanted to point out. That's all I had. The crossbow killed a deer, but slowly that crossbow number is building up for the Viper. He's on 5 so far, 2 more in the queue. It's kind of weird seeing the English go for crossbows, isn't it? Like, you don't normally see them building up a mass this early of crossbows. Typically, it's going to be like longbows together with knights. But obviously, longbows aren't going to be that effective up against the knights that are almost inevitably going to be coming out from the Mongol player.
Yeah, Viper is actually playing this game very similar to how a French player would play this one with a 2 town center approach, if you think about that standard knights plus crossbow combination. And against those lancers, it's going to work out pretty nicely, but still, knights are now charging in. Another monk could get intercepted, and that's great value for Beastie indeed. Gets the monk.
That is 2 monks going down now. That's 300 gold that's going to be going over towards the kitty for him. Looks like a villager going to be able to make it out with 2 health, and Beastie Kitty going to be a very happy camper here as he continues to camp up the map with outposts dotting them around, and there's the next outpost that goes down. Very strategic. Every single outpost is placed behind a wood line. This is something that I'm sort of learning, because remember, I'm a China enjoyer, and one thing that China is doing a lot more is tower rushing. So I'm taking notes. I got the notepad out right now. But speaking of notepad, Viper's going to need one to write down all the crossbows he's losing to these damn lancers.
And that's where those towers come into play. You mentioned at the beginning of the game that the Yan aura was nerfed. It no longer lingers when you leave that circle. But when you have so many towers on the battlefield, you still have so much coverage with that YAM network, and it helps you maneuver your forces around, and now those Lancers are diving in. That could be another Monk being taken down from Viper, despite all the efforts from those crossbows.
Viper is just losing monks left, right, and center. I think we saw a Khan go down on the field, so good game. Going to have to get called again. But now more Lancers coming in, and Viper doing a bit of the no-wall challenge here, and it's starting to feel like it might have been the wrong decision to do.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling to keep track of all those small groups of knights over there, and despite the fact that he's got about an 11 villager lead, he's getting graded left and right, and he is struggling a little bit to keep those villagers working because those lancers are just swooping in every once in a while. And Beastie, I'm actually wondering if he's going to think about the second town center, because eventually he's going to fall behind in terms of eco-efficiency. For now, he's focusing on the relics. He's going to have 4 if he's able to successfully bring back the 2 that he's carrying home right now. But once he has the 4th relic in, I could see Beastie trying to operate or work towards the second town center, because otherwise he's going to fall behind in villager count.
Yeah, that's a big... Is that a 3rd town center? That's a 3rd town center. Is that a 3rd town center? That looks like a... That looks awfully like a town center. That's
yes,
a 3rd town center. I'm not good at counting, but I'm good enough to know that that's 3 town centers. And that's a bad fault. That's an unfortunate timing right there for the Viper. Beastie just running rings around him right now. It is not looking pretty. You can just see there are raids going down absolutely everywhere. In fact, crossbows getting picked up right now. Villagers going down on the gold mine. The villager count is slowly but steadily getting more in favor of Beastie Cutie. Keep in mind, he's got the 4 relics in his back pocket compared to the Viper, who's only got the 1. And now Beastie Cutie is looking very strong in this game.
He's looking very strong indeed because he's raiding Viper left and right. All the crossbows are now gone. And if this fight is not something that Viper wins, he could even start losing villagers on the town center. Looks like Beastie is going to disengage, but those knights still rampaging the eco of Viper over here. Instead of killing villagers, actually deciding to burn down that one lonely farm, with the town center finishing off those 2 lancers. Looks like Beastie lost track of those for a brief moment, but he's not losing track of the ultimate goal. That is smashing Viper's eco in the face.
Viper's only on 3 crossbows, and Viper's been making crossbows since the 9th minute. He has never been able to build up a mass, and that's what you want to do. You want to get to a critical mass. Normally it's about 11 to 12 crossbows, and it's going to be enough to one-shot through those lances. Viper's never been able to do that. Not once has he been able to get that critical mass of crossbows out, and it's punished him. It's punished him significantly because constantly we see just Beastie Cutie running in with just a handful of lances and dishing out a whole bunch of damage. Let's take a look at the base of Beastie Cutie. I want to see whether he's added in that second town center just yet. I suspect it's going to be on the way. He's got 1,300 gold in the bank. If he hasn't, you would almost guarantee it would be coming in the next minute. Has he got a market down yet? Where's his market? He doesn't have a market?
Yeah, seems a little weird. But I guess he's busy fighting. Yeah, no market.
Wow,
his OVO is also out. He depleted his OVO and he hasn't rebuilt one. Okay, he's just now building one on the right side. But notably, he's got the 3 sacred sites as well. So that's 700 passive gold per minute that he's getting. And the sacred site countdown is on. Now, knowing Viper, he's going to sit back. Viper knows the timer. He knows that he's going to be able to decap eventually. So he's going to try to play this one patiently and build up that villager count. He's up to 71, grabbing a lot of eco upgrades as well. But Beastie, playing for map control, also working towards denying those extra resources, gold stones, not just the trees.
He's so annoying, dude. Look at this. This is so freaking annoying. Get out of here, Beastie Cutie. What are you doing with your stupid villager on Viper's farms? And it's it's pixel perfect. You can't get a better position than that. It's so damn annoying. But now Viper looking to try and neutralize the sacred side. Beastie Cutie going to be coming out here and forcing him back to the pavilion. Khan has returned from the dead. The vampire? I was going to say the vampire. The zombie, rather, makes its way out once again onto the field as the attack or movement speed arrow does get fired off.
Yeah, crossbows joining the fun here for Viper, but Beastie doesn't have to take that fight. Beastie can just sit back and enjoy the safety of those sacred sites and the towers he has. I wonder if that tower actually got finished at the back of Viper's base. I'm really curious now because we kind of switched away from that to take a look at that fight. And indeed, the tower is actually completed. Viper is yet to find that, but that's gonna be really annoying. No way. Oh, he's getting past.
He knows, he sees. Interestingly, the outpost from Beastie Cutie draws a road to the Viper's mill. I wonder if Viper sees that and he's like, hold on a minute.
Actually,
where does this road go?
I did not know that's a thing. Devs, what is this?
Yes, you're being revealed, but now the trench coming up. Nice little raid up towards that north side, but the trench is beginning to build on this front side, and Viper is under threat because that King's Palace has got a little bit less health than a standard landmark, and I suspect it's probably going to be a primary target for Beastie Cutie.
Or he could just snipe the production buildings like he started doing. He already sniped that one stable, which means that Viper can't produce more knights. This is going to limit his mobility, limit his ability to catch up with all those lancers running around his eco. Now Viper coming in with a defensive castle. Bit of an army over here as well for him here. This is not a fight that Beastie should take though against that many crossbows, but looks like he's insisting on taking this fight over here.
Yeah, you can really see the difference that the English bonus gives off. The network of castles, and now speaking of castles, that keep is going to be getting up and providing a little bit more defense up on that position towards the north. But Viper is definitely under a lot of pressure. That keep is going to be acting as a siege workshop as well. Important to remember that Viper is not going to need to add his own siege workshop here. In fact, he's going to have a siege workshop that is sitting inside that keep and ready to produce trebuchets.
Where is Viper getting gold from? He's down to 190 per minute with one of those, like 100 of those being provided by the monastery. Yeah, he doesn't have access to gold. Okay, now he's got one.
All right, there we go. We found a gold mine. But yes, his market, he just did a whole bunch of market trading. He had 1,800 food in the bank, and he just traded out every single bit of it because he needed to get a trebuchet out, and he's doing that now. But Viper's landmark is under attack, and that sprinkled emplacement outpost continues killing the villagers. And this is what we were talking about a bit earlier when I said that the sprinkled emplacements are unforgiving. And indeed they are. You forget about them, or you don't observe them, and you lose 12 villagers in the blink of an eye. Looks like the council hall is now being focused down. Springald's continuing to move forward, and we start seeing this composition from the Mongol player. It is your classic mangonels, trebuchets, springalds, and outposts.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and those Springald outposts do pack a punch. Viper is preparing to go for men-at-arms. You can see him tacking into armor-clad. He's getting men-at-arms out, but Beastie's one step ahead. He's got men-at-arms, he's got the crossbows as well, and look at the amount of towers he has. Beastie's not even using double training anymore. He's just using every single bit of stone he gets on those Springald emplacements. Now the council hall is lit on fire as well. Viper did lose some production buildings as well, and Beastie's slow crawl over here is gonna be really difficult to stop. Notably, the countdown for the sacred sites is down to just 5 minutes. So Viper not only does have to take a decisive win here, he also needs to decap one of those sacred sites at some point.
And there are outposts with sprinkled emplacements on every single site. So he's going to need to send at least 3 to 4 units down there. And it's going to be something that Beastie Cutie doesn't realize or forgets about. So, you know, can Beastie Cutie do that? Probably not. You know, is Viper going to be able to do that? Probably not. Is Beastie Cutie going to be able to let him? Definitely not. But now Beastie Cutie looking very, very strong in this game. Populations between these two guys quite even, but keep in mind 33 villager difference or 34 villager difference for the Viper and Beastie Cutie. Obviously with Viper's advantage, but all of that is going to be reflected in the respective military advantage, and we see a Springle getting picked off there. Beautiful Springle numbers now for Beastie Cutie.
And that is the battlefield siege. Look at Beasties dropping towers everywhere. We are seeing exactly how Mongols are meant to be played. Build the siege on the battlefield, drop the towers, and then just slowly creep up to your opponent. And now we have enough firepower from those traction trebuchets to start shelling the starting town center of Viper even. Viper is waiting and waiting. He's trying to build up an army, but the problem is that the build-up for Beastie is faster than Viper's build-up. He's probably going to decap this sacred site on the left side with the castle, but Beastie doesn't care. Beastie doesn't care about that sacred site. He has his sights set on Viper. Actually, the last landmark is the King's Pass on the right side. Just snipe it.
Wait, oh my lord, he might actually just lose it on that basis. There's only 2 landmarks remaining, and that third one is going to be up for grabs very shortly, but Viper going to be coming in now. We see the trebuchets actually looking to just focus down the landmark. He's realized, and now begins focusing down that attention. Mangonel's on the backside, going to be going down towards those men-at-arms, and Viper is struggling. This might be a good game getting called right here. He doesn't even have to wait for the secret sites. He's got so much units, but it doesn't even matter. The landmark's going to go down, and Viper going to go down to a landmark snipe. He pulls all the villagers. He's repairing. He's trying his best to get it up all above head, but he should have known it. Good game. Tapped out. Viper loses. Beastie Cutie victorious.
Oh my goodness. You rarely see your landmark snipe, so oftentimes you just forget about the fact that you indeed have a limited amount of landmarks that you have to defend. Viper lost the council hall. Okay, he still has production buildings. Loses the starting town center, which is a sturdy building, so you often look away from that screen and say, okay, it's going to hold for long enough. But the King's Palace, it is the weakest landmark HP-wise in the entire game. Only 2500 default HP, very easy to kill. By the time Viper realized that this is his last standing landmark, it was too late. Beastie opens up with 4 trebuchets, and despite all that villager lead for the Viper, ultimately Beastie's slow creep and a landmark snipe wins the game.
Really impressive stuff there from Beastie Cutie, recognizing that. And we could see as soon as all those trebuchets moved, that's when you knew that there was a problem for Viper, because hold on a minute, the council hall's down, the main town center's down, and now you've got a problem. And that's something that I often talk about, because we do see people treat that second, or that King's Palace, just like they would a second town center. Oh, there's a hunt in front of my base. I guess I'll just put my King's Palace there. Well, now you've got a landmark on the front line that's got 2,500 health that is going to die very quickly. So yeah, it's one of those trade-offs. But yeah, very well played there from Beastie Cutie. Absolute insanity from him. Beautiful strategy as well.
Yeah, beautiful strategy indeed as well from him. But we're moving on to game number 2. French versus Abbasids over here.